and we can, you know, do a show.
Word.
We just added Banjo Kazooie to the Switch Online thing. Yeah, I canceled my Switch Online thing when they were like, "Here, give us double the money, and you get a small handful of Nintendo 64 games and all the Genesis games that have been re-released a billion times that are nothing novel." I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop giving them money because I wasn't using it anyway. Plus, I can emulate all of that without having to pay Nintendo exorbitant amounts for the privilege of playing them, which they will eventually just pull the plug from in the future anyway, like they have with every other way to play uh, older games. Like Nintendo's better about it than some, but when it comes to like preserving old games, but only the small handful of games that we either have or can acquire the rights to, and we'll allow you to play it for a monthly fee until we won't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm pro emulation, in case you can't tell, because no company seems to be at all interested in game preservation. Like, at all. Because game preservation doesn't make them any money. That's why.
Yeah, they can't sell it to you. I mean, they could. Like, look at the Wii library. I mean, I rebought a ton of old games that
Yeah.
way, but
We played Bubble Bobble on your Wii.
we we continue to play Bubble Bobble at home,
Nice.
and it's like a bajillion years old.
I love that game. Um I mean, if they would just sell it in such a way like a physical copy, like look at the Castlevania collection and the Contra collection and the Castlevania Advance collection. Like people buy those up immediately. So like if they were to do that, I said a long time ago if they were to package up all of the old mobile Zelda games, the not mobile, that's a different word. The portable Zelda games from Link's
Like
Awakening all the way up to whatever.
the Game Boy games.
Yeah, the Game Boy
Yeah,
and GBA games and even the 3DS games, if they were to package those into like a physical cartridge and sell it for the Switch, I would buy that. Even though I can emulate all those for free right now, I would buy that without even blinking. I'd be like, that's mine, click.
you accept this perk. Hurry up and take my money.
Exactly. But anyway. Right. Well, that's long enough to where we've totally started recording by now. So, here we go. You guys good?
Yep, yep.
Yes.
Excellent. Ow, jam. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is, as far as I can tell, episode 644 of the Mana Pool, and I am Chewy. Yes. And Chewy means me. Anybody
And
remember
I
that?
am no.
No. Okay.
I am Brian. I'm the lead rambler and tangent master of the group. And I have a Simon and Garfunkel song stuck in my head. Not that one. I don't want to be demonetized. The other one.
Well, now I gotta know which one.
I'll tell you later.
I don't know that one.
Me
I'm
not
Mike.
interrupting Mike.
No, yeah, dang it. I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the Game Lord guy, and I'm also curious about what song it is, but now I started thinking about one that I'm hearing in my head. But it's a good one, so it's cool.
Here you go.
And I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greatest man alive and moral compass of the group. And I've got at least a couple of Simon Garfunkel songs that it could be, but I'm not going to say them because I'm going to see what Brian says to see if I'm right.
Something tells me Brian didn't actually have a Simon and Garfunkel song in his head. He just said that out of the blue.
No, for whatever reason, it was Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme.
I don't even know how that one goes.
Are you going to Scarborough
Fair?
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was that song.
Rosemary and Thyme.
Okay, now we are gonna get demonetized. Yeah, for me, it's what Chat said. It's always Sound of Silence. When you say Simon and Garfunkel, that's the first thing. And then
Bridge
it
over
goes
troubled
from
waters.
that to the Disturbed cover of it.
Oh, Dirk called a good one. Bridge Over Troubled Waters. That's really good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't think I like that one. Dirk, you're out.
Oh.
Pack your bags.
I don't actually know that many Simon and Garfunkel songs. I know several Paul Simon songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's just same thing.
Like You Can Call Me Al there's a good like 10% chance at any given point that song's running through my head.
Dang it, man.
Like, why am I soft in the middle now? Why am I soft in the middle now? And the rest of my life is so hard. Anyway.
And see, I don't know all the lyrics to that song, but
That one's
now
not
it's in my
familiar.
head.
That was not familiar
are we-
to me. I have to go look it up.
Oh, don't you? We
Oh,
lost
dude,
another
the
one.
music video has Chevy Chase singing over Paul Simon the whole time. It's actually really funny.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
But anyway, this is not the Simon and Garfunkel cast. This is the Mana Pool, where we talk about, magic stuff. Sometimes. Less so these
Sometimes.
days. Okay, so
But
the first thing we have to do, though, is I think it was Mike brought up the accidental drugs in the new upcoming set, and Brian went, I'm sorry, what? Because Brian had missed this. And also, hey, Mike just re-subbed for 24 months, and he says, not the Simon and Garfunkel cast. Accurate. Okay, in the Discord chat with you guys, I'm going to drop this, because this is just what I think it was Jake dropped in the the Discord.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's the announcement.
All right, so let me get this on the screen. There we go. From the Wizards Play Network website, make your own Halo. Halo is the magical substance that rules the criminal underworld in New Capenna, sought after by all for its magic-enhancing qualities. It comes in many forms, such as crystals, liquids, and vapors. And you may consider adding your own to your in-store events. You might present this ethereal substance by adding stones or crystals as part of your decorations. But if you'd rather serve it as a snack or beverage, you can get creative by using treats like rock candy or a fruity punch. Remember, and this is where it gets funny, please do not serve in beverageware commonly associated with alcoholic beverages, i.e. martini glasses. Remember, magic is for all ages, and everyone should feel welcome. So, like, when I read this, I was like, so booze is bad because don't serve things that might be booze to kids. But a whole magic set around drug running and organized crime is fine. That's totally fine.
I mean, I'm hearing stuff that I hear at work, which is not a good sign. Are they telling me, the store owners, what weights and measurement, how many grams is acceptable and how many grams over that is a Class H felony?
Exactly. But like the fact that apparently, we knew that the next set, New Capenna, is gonna be about like the mob, but I didn't realize it was gonna be about drug running.
I mean, do you remember that show, Cops? The animated show? Where,
oh yeah,
all the cops had superpowers, and hey,
Oh.
the main protagonist was an African American who was actually bulletproof.
I think that was his name too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hey, positive role models and all that. And the one episode where the good guys teamed up with the bad guys was to fight the drug dealers, because even the bad guys like the Kingpin or whatever were like, yeah, we don't do drugs, because it was a PSA and all that good stuff. But cartoons got it right.
In the 80s.
Wasn't there a scene in The Godfather where some of the mobsters are talking about some of the new crews moving in on their turf pushing drugs and how they're not comfortable with it?
Think so.
Maybe?
It's been a long time since I've seen The Godfather.
It might not have been The Godfather, but I've seen like that scene in like the old mafia crew is like, we'll just stick to our, things we already know, but these guys are
Gambling
selling
and prostitution and
cocaine.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that ain't right. That was actually one of the plot points in, I think it was in Frank Miller's Man Without Fear, is that like when the Kingpin takes over, like there was a meeting with the mafia heads, and they're like, we should get into this drug thing, and the old guy's like, no, we're not having that crap in our turf. We don't work like that. And then he sends them all away, and Wilson Fisk is actually like his big silent bodyguard dude, and he snaps his neck and takes over and is like, right, we're gonna run all the drugs. And that's like to show how bad Kingpin is.
Even these other guys wouldn't do it, but he's like, sign me up.
So yeah, why not? Let's have a whole magic set about drugs.
I'm sure they were trying to go for more of a, he who controls the spice controls the universe type thing, but really.
Yeah, but when you make it about organized crime, I think you miss part of that.
I mean, we might be reading a little bit into this, but their track record lately just hasn't been stellar. So, do they get the benefit of the doubt?
I mean, not for me, because
foresee...
I don't see any other way to read this.
I mean, they maybe even didn't foresee this as a possibility is also problematic.
Let's see, where somebody said something in the Discord after this is really funny. Jacob said, my guess is the theme was Prohibition era mobsters, but Watsy Legal stepped in and said a big no on the alcohol connection, so they changed it to a made-up drug, which that wouldn't surprise me. It was Stark, because of course it was Stark who said something funny. Stark said, remember everyone, magic is for all ages and everyone should feel welcome, so don't do anything that might tragically offend the sensibilities of children, as we present New Capenna, the set that glorifies organized crimes, and asks you to identify with a faction of criminals and slap their bumper sticker on your trade binder.
I mean, I think they've already said that for the pre-release, you pick. It's like the guilds. It's like the guilds in Ravnica, except it's organized crime. Yeah, it's like Romeo and Juliet. Do you want to be the Oh, come on! I know this work. I've read this work since I was
the Capulets and the Montagues.
Thank you. I'll just be on whichever side had Leonardo DiCaprio.
The Montagues.
In the chat, in all caps, I see, I associate strongly with a faction of mobsters that murders huge numbers of people. So yeah, Brian, that's the drug thing.
All right.
That was brought up earlier. Apparently the entire New Capenna thing is built around a magic enhancing substance.
Yeah. I think maybe it's also supposed to feel a little bit like the ether trade in Kaladesh, but it's drugs.
Are you saying that drugs will give you energy?
Some of them.
Now you can take it in like a Red Bull kind of way, But
it comes in crystals, meth, liquids, I think that's heroin, or vapors, which is, all of it. So... Huh. Anyway,
Right.
so Brian had the idea this week that we should do No Plane Like Home.
Yes.
So, as a quick refresher, No Plane Like Home is a feature that we do on occasion where we go to a plane and talk about what it would be like to live there. You know, what's trying to kill you, because it's a magic set, so of course things are trying to kill you. But
Yeah.
what are the dangers? What are the benefits? What's society like? You know, that sort of thing. We've done several of these over the years, including original Kamigawa we did once a while back. I don't know in which episode. Let me see if I do a
I'm
search.
actually I'm trying to look it up right now.
I like the way I typed in Kamigawa and it just gave me. Okay, it wasn't in the title because I'm searching on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It was episode number 582. Everything changed when the Kami Nation attacked, which was a great name for an episode.
Oh, that is a great name.
So we're on episode 644. So we're going back almost 60. No, yeah,
just
60
over 2
episodes.
years because that was February 2020.
Yeah.
And it's still March 2020, but people say it's March 2022, even though I don't believe it. Hang on. Let me consult my I have it saved in a how many days since March 1st, 2020? It is March 746th, just for anyone that's counting. That's depressing.
Thank you for that, I think.
You are welcome. I remember this thumbnail. I worked on it forever and it turned out still not great. Bug.
Oh well.
But anyway, so yeah, we're going to do new Kamigawa? Neo-Kamigawa? I don't know what you call it. We're doing Kamigawa from Neon Dynasty.
The modern age of Kamagawa.
Yeah. Which, real
Because-
quick, let me show this. I looked up the story and planes page for Kamigawa on the WotC website, and it has not been updated to talk about the new Kamigawa. It's all still in original Kamigawa.
I mean,
not only that,
it's not.
there's not like a second one for the modern age. Right? This is it. So good
It's
on you
not
for
like- not-
staying up to date, WotC.
Not like they just pushed a major product expansion dealing with this, and it's not like Kamigawa itself. One of the main highlights of it is its rich lore and background that they might think people would be interested in.
Yeah.
Didn't you also say that you thought they had updated the planeswalkers that had visited it list, and you realized?
No, you set me straight on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
They
apparently
haven't updated the planeswalkers in forever.
it shows.
Just the planeswalker list, not like updated each one to what's going on. Just they've added planeswalkers and they're not there.
Oh well, yeah.
Oh, does it still show Venser as among the living?
That's just embarrassing. But yeah, I scrolled down to Planeswalker Visitors to Kamigawa and I saw Jason Tezzeret and I went, oh, and Tamio, and I went, oh, they've updated this. And Brian set me straight. Apparently, Jace isn't in the new set anywhere, not even in the story.
No.
Tezzeret is, though. But these two
Yeah.
were there during the Agents of Artifice story, and so that's why they're here. And Tamio is from Kamigawa, so that's why she's on this list. And that's
Yeah.
literally everybody. So, yeah, they've just abandoned this entire thing here.
Yeah.
The
So what I
last
thought
new
we-
set that they added was, let's see, Fiora Innistrad. I don't know when these were updated, but their website lore is sort of slacking, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, but I thought this. So this is our first time, kind of essentially going back to a plane, because generally when we do a no plane like home, we take into consideration a little. We try to take a comprehensive look at it. However, this is first one of the first planes we've seen other than Dominaria that we've actually seen over the span of a large amount of time in the story. Like the original Kamigawa story took place, I think, 1,200 years ago,
Yeah.
and other planes like Innistrad, we've been to like what 3 times now, 3 or 4 times, um, but not like aside from an Eldrazi being stuck in the moon. Otherwise, the day to day hasn't really changed a whole lot, which is a weird thing to say, but they stay fairly constant. Whereas here, it's a really big change. Like, yeah, I mean, and I still don't know that I'm completely sold on it, but I do appreciate a lot of the stuff that they did. So love
Which,
it, hate. Good.
like, just to put that into perspective, 1,200 years ago for us was 800 CE,
Yeah,
which was the Dark Ages or early Middle Ages.
yeah. You're talking about way, way before the Industrial Revolution by a good what, almost 1,000 years. So
Like Charlemagne was crowned Emperor of the West in 800 CE.
yeah,
So like
a lot of
it's
stuff.
been a minute.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot can change. Um, so this is the first time we're going back and doing one. Also, when we did, everything changed when the combination attacked. We had some speculation there about, hey, what would this be like now? Because the events of the original Kamigawa block were pretty, um, pretty impactful. What with the Kami War and society starting to break down a little bit. So we had some speculation, and a lot of that speculation has been answered somewhat. Depends on the particular question in the new set and in the lore around the new set. So we can kind of go at this just as we go through every um no plane like home, or we can kind of break apart and kind of take some of the instances of how Kamigawa used to be, and then hey, what does that function of society, or what does that nation or area look like now, and maybe a little bit of both.
Okay.
Are we good?
So in the interests of complete transparency here, I know literally nothing about New Kamigawa, and Mike has been too busy to follow along with the story, and I don't think Dirk ever pays much attention to the story. So this is mostly Brian and us going,
Hey.
which is how Brian likes it.
Yes. But
Well, the rest of us might be able to recap real quickly the way things were before.
there you go. There you go. So it won't
So
just be me.
yeah, so back when we first visited, way back in the day, this was a setting strongly informed by feudal Japan. Um, you know, medieval tech, late Iron Age. Um, uh, well, maybe I'm getting that wrong as to when the Iron Age ended. And anyway, that's something else entirely. Um, medieval tech, swords and sorcery, uses of magic, and it had this really a big part of the setting the was the physical world and the spirit world side by side, and how they interacted with each other. And the big focus of the original visit to Kamigawa was the Kami War, the war between the spirit world and the physical world that was set off by something that one of the main characters did. Um, people have a close connection with the spirits. There are spirits of everything and in everything. That's informed by the real world Shinto religion, and the spirit world is also the source of magic on Kamigawa. So when the two sides go to war, that interferes with a lot of stuff. Things get weird, um, causes a lot of problems. So and I remember us talking about this when we were doing the original No Plane Like Home. Is that we kind of had to make a distinction between like normal circumstances and during the Commie War itself. Because
Right.
during the Commie War, that would have been horrible.
Mm.
Um, just really stressful, really violent, really confusing.
Yeah.
Um, but under normal circumstances, might not be too bad. It's pretty much like your, you know, Dominaria type setting.
For
Except,
example, during what we call
Mhm.
I was just going to say, just to illustrate your point, during what we call the normal circumstances in Kamigawa prior to the Kami War, your family might have a shrine to a particular house deity. Not necessarily, don't think of like Zeus from Greek mythology, but more of like the house spirit, which the Greeks and Romans actually had kind of an equivalent of,
Yeah,
the hearth spirit. But you might have
Ares
one that
and
just
Ates.
Mhm. But here you might have one that just kind of overlooked your particular household. And then in the Kami War, you might be afraid of that there was still kind of a push there was the tradition of still honoring those kami, but you never knew when that kami would just materialize and try to eat your face. So it was kind of a weird dynamic, and there were still certainly sections of the populace that still revered the kami, and you're not entirely sure if it was reciprocated. I think it depends on how the kami reacted. And there's also the distinction between some of the higher life forms, so to speak, of the kami, the ones that seem to have more sentient thought. Like the Myosians clearly were capable of acting as their own agents, but the more base kami were just kind of acting on the wishes of Okagachi, and they basically, when they entered the mortal world, they were like kill, crush, destroy. So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just trying to go along with what you were saying.
Yeah, that's fine. But thankfully, those events were resolved. There was peace. Um, not forever. There were other things that happened along the way. But as time passed, there were big events, big advancements in magic and culture and technology, um, that led us to a world that looks really different. We're not just it's not one of those things where it just kind of stays in the, high fantasy level forever. They actually went past that point, went past the point of even what you would see in a Ravnica or Pollyanna or, we're about to see new Capenna type setting. And
Drugs. Sorry,
there's
reflex.
um
And they call the drug Halo.
Yeah.
yeah.
I heard that's going to be a Netflix series, but that's its own thing. Sorry, keep going.
And we have industrialization. We have electricity, not just advancements in magic that are indistinguishable from technology, but like actual actual tech.
Yeah.
And not just
And
like clockwork stuff like you would see, highly advanced clockwork, magical clockwork stuff like you'd see on Kaladesh, but you know, uh, electronic, digital stuff.
yeah. And I think that might, just while we're on that, I think that might go towards some of the stepping away from the set and more of people's reactions in the real world to this set. I think that may explain some of the varying responses that we've seen. And some people like, yeah, this is great. Some people feeling like this is not my Kamigawa. Is that even when you do see some of these changes in other settings, it still feels very medieval to a certain extent. It might be like later medieval period, um, but it still has that very swords and horseback and European, almost like that kind of time frame. Um, and if there's anything more advanced than that, oh, it's magic. Like even on Kaladesh, it still doesn't feel like modern. It doesn't feel like technology. It feels like, well, you put it really well with the clockwork.
Yeah.
Um, so this feels jarring, but I've kind of come around a little bit as far as um I don't mind them trying different things. If anything, I don't like it when something is too homogenous that it's like, oh look, just like you can have with mechanics, you can have kicker variant 832. You can also have, oh, this plane of water that's not like Mirrodin because the water isn't Quicksilver, it's what's something else? Helium. Yes, the water is helium. So it just but the plot lines are the same and the technology is the same. So yeah. So
Helium water would be
it
awful.
is different. Um,
What was that, Dirk?
Helium water would be awful.
It
why
would
is
also
that?
mean that we're really cold.
Yeah.
Or
Okay,
very pressurized.
Or-
I, I, I don't do science, so I mean, science
Clearly.
does me obviously because I am subject to the laws of science whether or not I know them. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, and that is doubly true for science.
The feeling you're hinting at something, but in the year 2022, I can't imagine what that would be.
I actually wasn't, but take that however you wish. So, um, but yeah, let to get a little more specific here. Someone that's not me. What was the because back in original Kamigawa block, they hewed pretty strongly to the color wheel to explain the different factions of society. What was the white part of society? That sounds so bad. What was the white aligned part of society? Like what?
Oh, sorry. I don't mean to laugh at that. Just the way you put it made me giggle.
That
Yeah.
was yes. So um, in the physical world, the White Aligned factions were the Imperial Court of uh, Kanda
The
and
Kitsune.
and the Kitsune.
Oh,
Yeah.
was that it? Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Oh yeah, and a bunch of the samurai. Yes, because they were also
Yeah.
associated with the Imperial Kanda's court.
Yeah.
Right. Because in this setting, the samurai were the equivalent of a knight, whereas the ronin were the equivalent of like, well, a disgraced, a masterless knight, and they were more red aligned. Yeah, and they were around. Is it Akanjo? I'm
Yeah, Aganjo
this
Castle. Mhm.
Aganjo. The spoiler, the mispronunciations are only going to get worse on my part. They really are. So
They
sorry.
really are.
Um, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah. So now skipping ahead a little bit, the Imperials are still kind of in control, but the Imperial line has been maintained for, a couple hundred years, which is pretty impressive when you think, hey, coups and other things could happen. But part of that is due to the fact that um, it that was taken, which is the spirit that Emperor Kanda stole from the spirit world at the birth of his own daughter, and that spirit kind of became like a mere twin of his own daughter. At the end of the original Kamigawa story, the eggs, so to speak, hatched, and his daughter, um, who I'm not gonna even try to pronounce her name because I'm gonna get it wrong, and the spirit kind of teamed up and said, you know what, out with the old guard. We're going to do this however we want. They kind of ate Okagachi and absorbed his power, and they kept Lord Kanda immortal and T1000 him. They turned him into stone and shattered. And part of the story, I think, actually has from his perspective, like one of his little shards looking up and being like, hello? And he's just on a road somewhere. Chances are he's still there, which just brings, a smile to my face. Because he was an ass. Um, but so and I believe the dragon now that we've seen in the new set, there's a legendary dragon and it's bound to the emperor. um I think that's supposed to be what that spirit eventually became. It's either that spirit or that spirit and symbolizing the bond between that spirit and the emperor. But now that spirit uh maintains basically order, and through a symbiotic relationship with the latest emperor, they kind of play off of each other, and it kind of gives the royal line authority, right? So they're still there in the capital, and they're still trying to maintain order. They are definitely, the way I would interpret this is they are definitely more conservative in in terms of, hey, these advancements are happening, but let's not forget the traditions that got us thus far, because those traditions are keeping us in power. If you're cynical, and then if you're not as cynical, you see them as trying to just maintain the balance and keep law and order prevalent. So, the emperor herself has been missing for like 10 years because Tezzeret broke into um, the palace, and some stuff went down, and her spark ignited, and off she went. But I don't, it's not clear from the story, and maybe someone can set me straight on. Well, did anybody else read the story? If
Someone in
not,
chat might have.
my word is law. But the way I read the story, I don't think it's common knowledge that the emperor's been gone. I don't think they've really let that secret out. At the end of the um, Neon story, the new story, the Wanderer is again forced to leave because, surprise, surprise, the Wanderer is the Emperor, and her Kitsune mentor Lightpaws. Before she leaves, she actually appoints Lightpaws as essentially the de facto emperor, or the the official title is not like emperor, but it's like vice emperor or something. And I think that that is to tell the people of Kamigawa, hey, we still have an authority figure here. So let's just call her the Jafar in this story, but maybe, hopefully, not evil. So, right. So what about because it's similar. What about the Red Aligned faction in the original Kamigawa?
That was the ogres, and was it like there were like the Ronin samurai and everything?
And the
Yeah,
goblins. What are they called?
there were
Aki.
ogres and Ronin
The
samurai.
Aki.
Yeah, there were several things going on in Red. Some ogres, some Ronin samurai. Brian said the Aki, and there were also some monks who lived up in the mountains.
Oh yeah, the oh crap.
We got it in chat. The Yamabushi.
Yamabush. I can never remember what they're called.
Yeah. I think Hidetsugu, the Heartless, was also Red Aligned. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it seemed like Red basically fell into the two camps here: those that are just all out for chaos, like the ogres and the goblins, and then those humans that really had more of a rebellious independent streak, like the Ronin, who are like, you're not the boss of me, but maybe still have some honor to it, and are not necessarily like, yay, chaos, woo. So I believe in the Sokenzen Mountains is
Mm-hmm.
where they were largely located. And in fact, in the modern age, that's still where a lot of it is. And the Asari upriders, that's different. Uprisers are like the rebel faction now. And in the newest Kamigawa story, um, there's a large group of them actually break into the imperial city and attempt a coup. So
So they're pigeons. Coo.
took me a second. Yes, they are Aven. All Aven. Are there any Aven on this plane? I don't think there are.
I don't remember there being.
I don't think there were in the original batch. I don't know about
That
now.
they kind of kept the creature types kind of tight, like because they wanted then to also have like all the kami represent all these other things. So white was humans and kitsune, and red was humans and goblins and ogres and some one or two demons. Um, what about black?
Blackwood and Azumi, the rest of the ogres. Uh,
And
The Oni.
that's where half the ninjas were.
True, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Well, the ninjas were from all different sorts of, there were rat ninjas and human ninjas. It's still weird to me that in not Neon Dynasty we have white ninjas. We have at least one white ninja with double strike, which is cool,
Hell yeah,
but
Storm Shadow.
feels a little different. Yeah. Um. Yeah, they were in Takunuma, uh, the big swamp.
Takenuma.
Takanuma.
I don't know if
told you
that's
I was gonna be
pronounced
bad
right,
about
but
this. Yeah.
yeah.
and and actually Toshi, the main character of original Kamigawa and one of the most interesting main characters they've ever written, was a black aligned um, human who was super selfish and basically ended up doing the right thing because it suited him, and was again personal personal taste, but was very interesting to see that he still was a good guy, but not on purpose. And I thought that was interesting. This area probably just in the story from the new set saw the least amount of action. I think they're referenced. Um, I know that Hidetsugu became an Oni, and now he's Black Align, but he doesn't come up in the story. At least the main storyline. I haven't read the side stories at all. So, as far as what's going on with the Emperor and the main story in the Imperial capital and some of the other areas, not a whole lot of play from the Black Alignment. But Blue, as usual, manages to be super important. So, what about Blue originally?
So the moon folk lived up in the clouds. Um, that's also where the other half of the ninjas resided. And then there was the wizard school at Minamo.
What's the word for
And
Soratami? There we go.
Is Minamo a waterfall, or is that no? That's a school, right?
Yes, but it's at the
Yeah.
big waterfall, right?
Okay. Aha. I have the image in my head of the Tide Star, and I think that's against a waterfall. So maybe
Yeah.
that's where I always get that
I
from.
think there's a card or a reference to it that is called Minamo School at Water's Edge.
Aha. Yes. So I believe at the end of Kamigawa, the original series, Minamo Academy is actually destroyed by Hidetsugu, who summons the all-consuming Oni of Chaos to the school, and it starts, consuming. So I don't think I don't know if it was reestablished anywhere else, but Otawara, the city in the clouds, is still there, and actually a significant portion of the story takes place up there because uh, this is where some of the scientific advancements that are pushing the edge are based. The Soratami are still there, but there is a section of the populace that is much more like, hey, we can we are experiencing all of these advancements through magical research and through cooperation and study of the kami. Now that the gates between the spirit world and the mortal world have been open for a couple hundred years, and in theory, the barriers between them are getting even thinner all the time. We can learn more about each other, and so they're basically the scientists. They're a little bit like the Simic, and I was about to say like, but with morals, but I think that actually depends on the individual scientists here. I think there's some here that would be absolutely like, yes, let me combine these two kami. This one is a shark and this one is a crab. I think some of them would be all about that, just from some of the things we've seen in the story, because they want to push the envelope. Very, very, very blue in the knowledge for knowledge's sake, whether or not it's maybe for in the best interest of the populace. As blue relates kind of to white and to red, then you can get into these little offshoots where the Imperials feel very strongly that, hey, these advancements are great. We need to make sure they're applied properly and ethically. And the red faction is like the uprisers are more like power to the people. Everybody gets a laptop and free Wi-Fi. Otherwise, the man is keeping you down. So and the only way to really advance the general populace is if they have the same opportunities as the elites, regardless of maybe whether or not this technology is safe in everybody's hands. So you have some of the different approaches, but whereas the Imperials and the Uprisers are on opposite sides of that, the Soratami, and especially those that are involved in the development of the sciences, are basically like, hey, whoever pays us to work, we're gonna get this done. So blue's pretty important here. And what's that leave? That leaves green. Hey, Dirk, what do you remember about green in Kamigawa?
They had the snake people, which were the
Um, why can't I remember
Orochi?
these words?
Yorochi.
Orochi. Yeah, there we
Orochi.
go.
Yes. They have hatcheries.
And they had
they had
monks.
the snake
Yeah.
people and the monks. Yeah,
And that's all I
That is
remember.
correct.
that's it.
They were in Jukai Forest. Um, did they have a big tree? A lot of these, um, big trees are pretty prevalent in a lot of mythological stories. Side note: when I was writing the backstory for the RPG, which hopefully we'll be getting back to hopefully soon, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take Norse mythology, and of course, Yggdrasil is a big part of that. And then you start to look around and you realize Yggdrasil and the World Tree is prevalent in maybe like every other, or at least every third mythology. So people like big trees, and I'm trying to remember if there was a big tree on Kamigawa.
I
I
don't
feel like
remember.
there was,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
Oseju.
yeah, there we go. Ha!
oh, duh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's even still here. So I knew I had that. Again, big trees, very important. Um, so the green alignment is probably the one most at odds with the development of the modern society. I mean, think back to our own history, and we build cities, and the forests get smaller and smaller, and so it's one of those nature versus civilization things. um and we tend to think, oh, nature is a good thing and we don't want to destroy it all, and I certainly think that's true. It's funny though, we were talking about the difference between our society now and 1,000 years ago, 1,200 years ago. Back then, the forest was an actual dangerous place. Like, actually, no joke. Like, lots of wild things lived out there, and you could die. So, most people back then were probably not like, hey, save the forest. They're probably like, hey, chop the trees down because my boy Billy got eaten by a wolf the other day. So, just noting that the approach to how we value these sorts of things changes over time. But as civilization takes off and consumes more of the raw materials, those that are in tune with nature are going to eventually start pushing back. and you still have the Order of Jukai now that are trying to preserve what Greenlands are left. As we said, Boseiju is actually still around, although it's kind of been purposely preserved in a way that I think comes across as both reverential, and I don't know about your reading of it, but to me it's almost like, hey, the one flower that they keep, in that one lot that nobody has kind of built on yet in a very urban area. It's like, oh, look at that, that's pretty. And then everywhere around it is like dirt. So my take on it a little bit is, yes, it's reverential, it's good that it's still there, but everything around it has been completely built up. So catch 22. So
Hmm.
so that's kind of the state of the civilizations. Things are relatively, compared to when we left and the end of the Kami War, and especially during the Kami War when people were dying all the time, and the spirit of your plates, no joke, may come and pass over into your world and start stabbing you with forks because, platter and silverware got to stick together. Now, except the bigger problems seem to be a little more political, and the average citizen is probably not fearing for their daily lives. And I think that that's one of the interesting things with the development of society and with the development of technology. Again, the parallel being our own lives. As we become less and less worried about Billy dying in the woods, and we become more concerned with, hey, what's the newest technology? Okay, so we've got a printing press now, so we can spread the written word, so we can get ideas out there. Let's talk about religion. Let's talk about politics. Da da da. The concerns shift, and what matters in your life shifts a bit. And I think we're seeing some of that here too. Yes, you've still got the danger. You've got dangerous politics. You've still got samurai fighting ninjas and ronin and all that, but the average person is probably able to lead a more safe life, and because they're able to do that, then in turn, because people are able to live a little longer, and are able to kind of study more, you have more of these advances in technology, and I feel like the two effects feed on each other. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
uh as far as the culture, it's still very much rooted in Asian, and especially I think Japanese aesthetics. When we open the news story, the main character, whose name I can't remember, is tailing a mark, and he stops at a noodle shop, and he's eating some noodles. So um, some of the Asian aesthetic there.
Not to mention all the anime
So
references that we've mentioned before, which
yes,
clearly come
yes,
from Japanese culture.
right. So now that we've kind of laid the groundwork, and I know we've taken a little bit of time with that. Um, do
Did we just
I
lose Brian?
apologize? My headset. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, my headset started to shut down. It was telling me auto shutdown enabled, and I'm like, what? No. So hey, sorry about that. If I just go again, that's probably what's happening. I'm not sure why this thing is plugged in. So, that I'm sure that's all very relevant for the listeners. So, that that's kind of the background for this plane. Is this a plane that you think you'd want to live on?
I mean, what's gonna kill me?
Everything.
I
If you're in the city, gangs,
Yeah,
mugger.
or we're not even to drug crime yet, like New Capella, but yeah,
Or Capenna?
Whatever. Why should I stop mispronouncing things now? If you live in the capital, probably. If you live in the mountains, goblins. If you live in the clouds, I'm guessing falling, yeah. But if you live up there, hopefully that's not going to happen. Either you have magic that will prevent you from falling, or slow fall or whatever, feather fall, um, or I don't know, mind the guardrails. So the swamp, anything. The swamp is probably still, unless they've developed it. Which again, the story didn't really touch on the swamp at all. And I don't want to spin my own fan fiction here, but every society has, that place that you just don't go. The place is just a little underdeveloped. Um, I mean, even on Ravnica, which is a plainer city, there's still like the undeveloped places where the Gruul hang out. So I kind of feel like the swamp is still there, and I feel like that may not be the place to go because it's probably one of the more dangerous places. Now that I think about it, there actually was a part of the story where Kato went looking for a Nezumi that had witnessed the battle between Jace and Tezzeret. And I think he does go into the swamp a little bit, and he basically mentions that no one will talk to him ever, and they're suspicious of everybody. So, yeah.
Also, Al, thank you for that 54-month resub. 54? Jesus.
I gotta think if I'm living on Kamigawa now, part of it is probably, there's probably gatekeepers. Like if you're growing up in the mountains, there's only so many chances to like join Imperial Society. I'm well aware of that. But if I'm living the fantasy where I kind of get to pick where I'm growing up, either in the Imperial City or in Odawara in the clouds, probably would be one of the safest places. Probably would be one of the more um well, again, I'll say safest, most comfortable. And if I'm gonna pick, I might say Odawara. I'm not really all about the science, but it's a little more removed. You don't seem to have some of the same politics because, again, people just basically stay there to learn and to develop things. And if I'm just kind of hanging out, I think a little somewhere over the rainbow sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about demons and other things. Some of the spirits still do seem a little violent, but not at all the way they were in the Kami War. And I think in the chat, somebody mentioned the fact that they probably have uh, indoor plumbing, and
Yeah.
because this is
There's
a
fast
plane
food and
with
bathrooms.
technology. There you go. So sorry, I had missed that in the chat, or I missed where it was. Um, but yeah, you've got more modern conveniences on this plane than you do at a bunch of other ones. Take for example, Amonkhet, a desert where you're gonna die
On purpose.
on purpose. Come to the Olympics. If you lose, you die. If you make it to the end, a god kills you.
Yay! Wait.
And it's hot, and there's mummies everywhere, and scarabs. And if you try to leave the city, there's more mummies. Here, oh, and there's no plumbing. There's no indoor plumbing, at least that we know of. It's not really stated.
Yeah, it
Can't
sounds
imagine.
like New Kamigawa is just it's sort of like I'm gonna assume they haven't hit the internet yet, which
Ooh.
means society's probably better than it is now.
Yeah, I'm picturing the next set in this on this plane, and it's like Kamagawa Twitter Dynasty, and I'm like, no, no. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But yeah,
No
it
info.
sounds like it's roughly like 1980s Japan.
Yeah, or like the vision of the future in 1980s Japan.
Yeah, there we go.
Like the
Mhm.
Akira
Yeah,
version
it's more of a
future.
Blade Runner or Fifth Element type setting.
Right.
Yeah, because nobody back in the day writing sci-fi figured out the internet.
Yeah.
At least not until we
Well,
already had like inklings of it.
Yeah, there were hints of something like it, but not no one had the understanding of what it would be really.
Yeah, and how it would, destroy society. But
um, I as a kid, before I even really knew what anime was, just on Cartoon Network, I think it was Ronin Warriors, and I really
Hmm.
liked that show. It was basically, Power Rangers, but, animated and, Earth Fire. It was almost like Power Rangers meets Captain Planet a little bit. Um, but it was cool. I liked it, and I think uh, I think that's the sort of thing that would fit really well into this aesthetic. If you guys are familiar with that show at all.
Oh yeah,
I have no
used to
idea
air
what you're
on it
talking
aired
about.
on network TV for a little while too.
Chewie, you haven't heard of it?
I don't think so. No.
I think it was on
Okay, well,
Toonami or Cartoon Network.
What was it called?
Ronin Warriors.
Ronin
Ronin
Warriors.
Warriors. It's good stuff.
Images. Oh, never mind. I do recognize these guys.
There you go.
But I just
And yeah,
like a quick visual recognition. I don't know. This is not a thing I ever watched or was aware
and
of beyond recognition.
you said 1980s Japan, and that was literally the first thing I thought of. So,
Nice.
but yeah,
But yeah, it
um,
sounds like as far as all of the things that I would want in a world, yeah, this is top of the list for places that I would want to live.
Yeah.
honestly, I'm trying to think of the places we've said before, and what have been some of the planes that have gotten some of the highest marks? Like probably Lorwyn,
I
as long as
think
it's not Shadowmoor.
I think
Yeah,
Theros and Lorwyn
Theros. Yep.
and Ravnica were the top ones.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think this one might be a contender for better than those.
Yeah, I mean it tops my
To-
list easy.
It shows you just how much we've really grown into our modern society.
Oh, and
Like
Kaladesh Ben said, yeah.
I'm sorry, but none of the four of us, except for maybe Dirk and maybe Mike, but certainly not Chewie and I. No offense. You throw us back 1,000 years, like a kid in King Camelot, no, a kid in King Arthur's court. None of us are making it past like 2 days. I'd be like, "You want me to do what in the what now?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, go, out in the woods and kill your food and use a sword." And I'd be like, "Ha," and I'd be like dead. So I'm just saying, it goes to show how much I'm really, I've certainly been spoiled by modern society. And you show me a plane like this, and I'm like, yes, it probably has air conditioning.
Right? Yeah, you throw me back into medieval times, I'd be like, "What's that smell? Why does everything smell like that?" And then I'd hurl myself off the battlement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The smells everywhere.
Because that line from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it must be a king. How can you tell? 'Cause he hasn't got all over him. It's poop. It's poop. He hasn't got all over him, but that's not the word they say. But there's no swearing on the mana pool except in extreme circumstance.
Did you ever see that movie? I think it's Black Knight.
With Martin
where
Lawrence?
with Martin Lawrence, yeah, where he works
Wow.
at like a medieval like putt putt sort of place, and he either gets sent back in time or is knocked out and think he's sent back in time. I can't remember which it was. I saw this movie in college. It's been a while, But basically, he's pointing out, like, he goes to use the privy, and he's like, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And he's like sitting down to dinner, and everyone is eating with their hands, and nothing is preserved. And he's like, yeah, no. So, yeah.
So you
Um,
know, on Google you can pull up a movie, and then there's a little button you can click that says cast.
yeah.
Martin Lawrence doesn't show up until the fifth row.
Really? He's the
Isn't
main
he the main
character.
character?
Yes. Wow.
What the hell?
But my point is, especially with Magic, because again, so many of the sets and so many of the environments are based off of generally of high fantasy. And what do we generally associate with high fantasy is that sort of uh you know European middle ages or dark ages sort of aesthetic. And we're like, yeah, that's cool. And I mean, hey, yeah, I'm a sucker for a good sword fight. But then, I'm very realistic of the fact that life back then in a realistic setting was not super comfortable.
No.
Even
Most people just
royalty at
scraped
that
by,
time.
and yeah.
If you had the option of you could live in the castle as royalty, or live in your current house, you would kick your modern house hands down, no questions asked. Because again, there's no air conditioning. There, there, there's no lights. So if you go into a castle, unless there was a torch lighting where you were, when the sun went down, you went to bed.
Yeah. There's no internet, which the
Was a
four
good
of us
thing.
are the four of us are old enough to remember before there was the internet. And it's not like I need the internet to live, but um I would be lying if I didn't say that I've gotten kind of used to being like, I'm bored, YouTube, entertain me. So,
Yeah,
you know
sorry.
what
When I
being
say the
bored,
internet was bad, was causing the collapse of
social
society, I meant
media.
social media.
Yeah,
Yeah, my
yeah,
bad.
Yes.
yeah. Um, you know what people did when they got bored back in the Middle Ages? They actually didn't, because pretty much you worked your butt off all day, especially if you were not a lord or lady. You didn't have free time. You got up and you worked, and then you went to bed.
Yeah.
That's just
Well,
how.
But if it wasn't farming season, or it wasn't the right season to ply your trade, you did have some downtime, and you'd
you would
visit with,
occupy it.
yeah, you'd visit with neighbors. Maybe you had a craft. Maybe you'd sing songs. Maybe you just go hang out and drink with people.
I was gonna say you got to
There
go
was
down the
a
pub.
Yeah.
that
That's
was I
true.
think there
That's
was
true.
something that was during the non-growing season, like the winter season, everything. That was one of the worst times, because essentially the adults would get bored and they would just get drunk, and so that would cause issues at the house.
Eventually, enough people get together and they form a new religion or go burn down a neighboring country. So, and so yeah, it was a gross overstatement of me to say they didn't have any, but in general, they worked all the time because they had to survive, or they were in such a society that their masters expected them to do that. And yes, I do mean masters in the literal sense, because
They
while
were
slavery
serfs.
is definitely a sore spot on our history and a lot of countries' histories, it's not, you don't have to go back super long, like in the grand scheme of things, before it was a thing. So yeah. So all this is conjecture to basically say, yeah, this setting you got here, pretty good. Now you do roll the dice a little bit, and maybe you attract a little bit too much attention. Maybe you do a little too well for yourself, and you've got too much money and some mob boss is like, hey, great, you're a dead man now, or you run into the wrong person, or, ninjas. But the average person is probably living a little longer and in more relative comfort.
A relative comfort.
Yay, relative comfort.
That's the best kind
Um,
of comfort. No, wait.
Now, it's only a matter of time before we come back to this setting and somebody's gonna like trip up the world bomb or something, because that's what inevitably happens in these magic stories is civilization suddenly is on the cusp of being destroyed or something, because that's how you get drama. Life on Ravnica was pretty awesome, and then Nicol Bolas opened up planar gates and started killing all the people. So, and for him, it was just Tuesday. So you just you don't know when that sort of thing will just suddenly strike, but in general, it's a pretty stable place.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
so
it
we
sounds like most of the dangers, at least from what I've managed to glean from you, are the same thing that we have for the most part these days, along with like maybe Aki or ogres or demons. Which, I mean, is that really any different than anti-vaxxers at this point?
uh, I'm yeah, you raise a fair point. It's also getting away from the dredges of our own real world for a little bit. A lot of the issues that you have on Kamigawa, you're going to have on pretty much every other plane too. It's not like other planes are immune to politics. And maybe you live in one area of Dominaria and they declare war on another part. Well, that's politics. It's just of a different kind. Here, the politics is a little more like, the arrangements uh, between different parts of society, whether or not the peace will hold between the Imperials and the Uprisers, or whether or not the um, the scientists who have a name. There's a specific name for them, and I forget what it is. I'll look it up in a minute. Um, maybe make a mech that oops is gonna step on a city or something. But uh, so you have politics everywhere. What you don't have here is like during what you had during the Kami War, where again spirits cross through into your world and kill you. You don't have the desert of Amonkhet, or the dead rising in massive numbers, or pretty much any part of Innistrad at all. So some of the same problems, a little more refined maybe, but none of the like, oh god, there's a werewolf family next door and they're gonna kill us all kind of problems.
Those are the worst problems.
They are.
That is, werewolves outside is distinctly worse than anti-vaxxers. Like, and it's not close. God, someone's gonna be like, that's anti-werewolf propaganda, and we don't appreciate it. I'm talking about the ones on Innistrad,
Yeah.
which are going to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. None of the save the werewolves here.
What were the other kind of wolf people called?
Oh
Lycanthropes?
man.
No,
No, the other.
on Innistrad.
Oh, uh,
I can't remember the term.
Dang it.
after Avacyn came back and they were kind of like the good aligned ones. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
The Wolfier,
Wolf
You're
the
right.
Eater.
Wolfear.
There we go. Thank you.
well, I was glancing at chat and Ben said it, so thank
Oh,
him.
we did. Oh, I lost chat.
I haven't. I've kind of like navigated away, and I keep coming back to it. So, but then after she went crazy, they kind of reverted. You don't really hear about them anymore. So,
Pretty puppies. I mean, what?
yeah. So all in all, again, until some other world-ending event comes, or unless the Phyrexians set up shop here, which might be a thing, uh, Kamigawa not too bad. Interesting what 1,200 years will do to a place.
Well, as always, there's good places to be and not good places to be. I kind of like the sound of the forest area.
I think you would get along there pretty well.
Hmm.
You could
Yeah.
literally be that guy that chains himself to a tree when the steamrollers are coming and be like, "Get off my lawn."
Well, the thing that I was reading was the Towashi. That sounds like that would be a really cool place.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
The metropolitan center of the plain. It's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's where Bosiju's growing up around everything else that's a skyscraper. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just don't want to be there when, Tetsuo when all that actually happens. I could be elsewhere for that part.
You want to
Yeah.
leave before Akira.
Pretty much, yeah. I'll heck off to the woods or something.
I think you probably even want to be there before the prologue when, the original Akira, kabooms. Because it doesn't the film even take place in like the aftermath of that? And the whole
Yeah.
reason people are scared of it is because the last time something like that happened, boom.
Wiped out a good chunk of the city.
Yeah.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah. We when we were talking about horror films on the last time we got together, I mentioned that one and certain scenes in that film actually like making me sick, but I was already sick and somehow some of that stuff really like turned my stomach. So some of the body horror in that film is kind of out there for an animated thing. I remember seeing that in video stores as a kid and being like, "Oh, it's a cartoon," and I never got it, which in retrospect is probably a very good thing that I didn't see until I was older.
Probably.
So I think we've kind of covered this. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about the current state of Kamagawa and or its livability?
I got nothing myself.
Hmm.
Sounds like no one else does either.
Yeah. No,
Well,
sounds like we've gotten through it pretty thoroughly. I feel.
yeah, I think so. I think some parts of this, I feel like were a little shorter discussion in that we did already cover Kamigawa in general, but we were also able to go a little deeper into some aspects of it. So, and again, it's not like there's random, I don't know, turtle demons showing up and destroying the city every half an hour. Oh God, Godzilla. Could that happen here? Oh no, that would be on the monstrosity
Ikoria.
plane. Yeah, that'd be on
Oh,
Ikoria.
yeah.
So
I'm just wondering if like the Nezumi biker gangs would like need a plucky ginger human mechanic.
They might.
Because I think that would probably be a pretty good way to pass the time.
I think my only concern would be, you know, there being a disruption in the spirits, the kami all coming back and wreaking havoc again.
I think that is a legit concern. I think in the lore again, the walls between the spirit and the mortal world are thinning constantly, and it's kind of this question of, are they eventually going to be the same plane? Um, and then there is the dragon kami that kind of acts as the physical manifestation of the bridge between worlds. Um, I could see maybe them doing that in a future plot line if something really upset them, but it would have to be something pretty big because everybody seems they mentioned the Kami War a couple times in the story, and it seems to be that thing where I don't know. I could pick a couple examples of actual modern history or real history of like, oh God, we're not going to ever do that again, hopefully. And I don't want to trigger anybody because those things are actually very horrible things. To take something from the far past that hopefully won't trigger anybody, the Crusades. I don't think anybody is actually like, yeah, let's do another Crusade. That was a great idea. So I think for them, it's kind of the same thing. Everybody looks back on it, and nobody is like, you know what we should do? Another one of those. They're kind of all like, oh God, I hope that never happens again. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree with all of that.
Yeah. So maybe we'll just see Rita Repulsa send a giant Pachinko machine monster to destroy the city.
now I'll make my monster grow. Why she didn't make them big to begin with, I don't know. So
Because she's got a process, Brian.
yes,
part,
and it's
part of the
worked.
dramatic narrative.
She's like, oh, for like 253 or however many episodes there were.
Hey, man. She had a Green Ranger. That almost worked.
It did almost work. That was a highlight.
Oh, Lord. Right then, so. Should we final thoughts then so Dirk can go to bed?
Mm-hmm.
After
Make this a
10,000
nice-
years, Dirk can go to bed.
Make this a nice, compact episode for a change.
So my final thoughts.
Yes.
Well,
Well.
I'll let you guys in
Actually.
on some recent developments that have occurred. Chelsea was offered a new job, and she accepted.
Ooh.
Oh.
That new job is she's going to be like a loan. She's going to be doing financial, like estate planning and things like that. And the location where that will be is in Hillsborough. So it looks as
That's
though in another year or so that we will potentially be relocating.
I was gonna say that's a pretty decent commute. Now you hmm,
So yeah, I've been trying to get into my kids' county for like 5 years, and I finally got into the kids' county only for her to get a job,
yeah,
which would
yeah.
is going to relocate us and everything. But
I, I,
um,
I was I was trying to figure out how much of that you wanted to say because I know that you've been trying to do that for a while. Does this mean
yeah,
you will also have to get it? Well, or is that to be decided?
it's kind of we're gonna see what happens, but it's not gonna be a fast thing. We're gonna be spreading out the move and everything because um, we're wanting to see sort of what happens with the kiddos, whether or not the move is good for them. The thing with her position is, yeah, she'll probably start there, and she's planning on being there for a year or so and moving out and doing all this stuff. But the big thing is we're trying to see how Trevor does with it, because if
Yeah.
Trevor does well with the move and everything, then we will probably end up going. But if things don't go well with him, then we're going to probably see about um, if something comes open back in this area, her moving back in this area in the same capacity. So, but
With
if
that,
I had to guess, we're going to probably, odds are Trevor has been real has been very forthcoming with going and doing this, and we'll sort of see what happens. To give some context, Trevor has been our kiddo who, anytime that there's a big life change and everything, he has not always reacted well to it. When we moved out here from when we were at the grandparents, that there was a week or so where he was inconsolable, where it was just like, just try this, he'll be okay. And him like, I want to go back, I want to go back, I want to go back. It took a long time to get him to adjust. And so we've told him about this, and he's like, I'm good with it. And that was very unusual to hear him say that he's okay with doing this, and he's wanting to see what happens. And so, like I said, it kind of depends on how he goes with it, with whether or not when we move forward, or if we need to look at readjusting everything. But yeah, that was the latest development this week.
Without saying the name,
Steve.
Just for privacy concerns, is she remaining with the same financial institution she's been
Yes.
with, or is okay?
Yes, they have they redid how they're doing services and things like that, and they decide, instead of saying, hey, everyone has to be it needs to be decent at doing these jobs, they're like, you know what, just let's have specialized people in the branches that can move around and do what they need to do to meet these, so that way we have professionals who specialize specifically in these things, instead of trying to have everyone be able to do everything. So actually having people who specialize and do well with it and are able to help people much better. So she is moving into the capacity that she has been wanting to do since day one.
Okay.
Which is a big reason why it's been like, you know what, let's do this. Let's try this. Let's do this, and go from there. That's my final thoughts and big news for the evening. And with that, I bid all of you adieu.
Like a Mountain Dew?
All right, well, just later.
Oh.
I'm poor.
Fine, I don't want a Mountain Dew anyway.
All right. Good night, guys.
Night, sir.
Good night. Good on.
Little weird to announce all that just live on the show, but whatever.
He's telling us, that he's made major life announcements on here before, so it's not like he said that they were having a kid or something, or adopting Chewie.
Thank goodness, because I would not be able to live under a parent's roof again.
Apparently, adults adopting other adults is kind of like a thing that happens, but I don't really know a whole lot about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. Instead, I'm going to talk about something that I do know about. So we were in Costco, and or this might have been Sam's Club, and I get them confused. Sorry, Walmart enthusiasts. I'm not brand loyal or whatever. They're big stores. And I came upon a snack, and I said, "This is either going to be great, or it's going to be terrible." And I knew that from the get-go. It is a combination of two of my favorite other snacks. I'm just curious. I should have asked this to Dirk before he left. But, Mike, what do you think this might be? I'm just curious.
Popcorn and...
Yeah, popcorn is the obvious one for Brian. The and is catching me, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
years, my dream has been to make popcorn ice cream, like actual ice cream that tastes like popcorn. Um, but
Hmm.
it's not popcorn ice cream. I'll just tell you that much. Just name
Okay.
another snack. Just name another snack.
um, well, now
Sesame
I'm just thinking about
seeds.
popcorn ice cream.
Did you just say sesame seeds?
Yeah.
Popcorn sesame seeds. Be
I don't know.
interesting.
You just said name another snack. It's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah,
Shut up.
yeah.
Do
Mike. Name
people
another
snack on
snack.
sesame seeds?
Can you not?
Man, people snack on
I'm
sesame
kidding.
seeds. What are you talking about?
They okay, like what? Like with a spoon?
Are you
No, aren't they
serious?
like?
They sell them in the little plastic thing, like the little plastic tubes. You know, paper.
Are you thinking of sunflower seeds?
Oh God, what'd I say?
You
Sesame
said
seeds. You
sesame
said sesame
seeds.
seeds like
You
3 times.
did. You did. Like the
I
little
totally
seeds they
meant
put on.
sunflower seeds, and that's what my brain saw and heard. And my mouth decided to just, nope.
This is the best conversation ever. Because no, you said sesame seeds, like the things that they occasionally put on top of hamburger buns. And I was
Wow.
just kind of going with it. I was like, I've never done that, but you're like, do you not? And I'm like, okay. I but yeah, sunflower seeds, yes. Sesame seeds, no. Mike, you gotta give me a snack here. You gotta
M
save
and
me from this
M's.
because so M&Ms. All right, now I found Dorito flavored popcorn. Um,
I might actually vomit into the microphone. Wait, one more time? It's what?
it's a nacho cheese flavored Dorito popcorn.
Okay, that did not clarify. Is it Dorito flavored popcorn or popcorn flavored Doritos?
It is popcorn dusted with something that they think will make it taste like Doritos.
Okay, I might not vomit into the microphone, but I'm still
Now
not a happy Chewy.
I'm trying to picture what popcorn flavored Doritos would be like because they're already corn chips. It would just be like butter flavored, right?
Butter flavored Doritos. Yeah, that's kind of ew.
So, but yeah, these were interesting, and I told Carrie I would try to make myself finish them. We only bought one bag, and I knew right off the bat. And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that they are an acquired taste that I have yet to acquire. As someone that likes both of these things, I'm always telling Sam because she has some interesting taste herself, but she's also 11. Just because you like this thing and this thing and this thing does not mean you should smash them all together. This is a prime example of that. So, hey, if you've tried it, you like it, that's fine. The more power to you. There are about a bajillion bags out there I will not be buying. But yeah, after Dirk's like super serious announcement, I had to go with that. I've got other stuff going on in my life. Work is kind of crazy right now. Work has been crazy, but I'd rather talk about Dorito flavored popcorn. No, 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 no.
So
So
does that
that's
mean
what I
next time
got.
I come over to your house, you're going to be like, "Hey, Mike, want some popcorn?"
So Mike does kind of almost have the reputation of like whenever he comes over and there's something we either just won't eat or have tried and don't care for, we offer it to Mike. That is less of an opinion of him being a human repository and more of like the hey, Mike has very worldly tastes and will try things that maybe we won't. If you
Let's say
want,
broad rather than worldly. Let's not give me too much credit.
oh, I was gonna give you credit, but if you want, I can hold on to some of this for you. But
It's
I had it
probably
for a
still going
couple.
to be a while. Yeah.
I've had it for a couple weeks already, and it's not my favorite when I've gone through like a couple bags of pretzels and other stuff in the meantime. And this one is just kind of staring at me, and I'm like, I do not feel like you right now. So it probably won't still be here when you get here,
Yeah.
assuming that ever happens. So, we're going to only have Omicron variant 2.453 next week. So, I guess on more world on actual news, the courthouses that I go to, which have been the best about mandating masks, have announced that starting next week, and they did give us a week's notice. Next week, masks will be optional. The order very specifically states if you want to continue wearing a mask, you are welcome to do so, which I appreciate. Um,
Which it's not like they could stop me.
Probably not. Most of the judges have still appreciated. I was speaking to a DA the other day, and she's like, "Yeah, I mean, people come in here. Some of them don't necessarily take the best care of themselves." And I mentioned, yeah, aside from like a little general sickness here and there, I've probably been the healthiest I've been in a while in the last 2 years. Gee, maybe it's because this mask on my face filters out other things other than just this one disease. So I've actually talked to a couple people that are not like, yeah, I'm going to throw it away right away. And I've talked to a couple people that are like, thank God, finally. Mm, I'll probably continue to have mine for a while yet. But anyway, so that is me. That is my Dorito news. And my I don't have a Dorito nose. That would definitely be a Simic thing. Uh, that's it for me, though.
I love the way that we're losing all of the mask mandates and whatnot, even though like cases like they're on a small downward trend right now. But you think they would have learned that every time they remove mandates, the cases
You
go
know
back
what?
up.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just like spring of last year. It's just whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
it's appearance, and it's catering to certain
Less
people, and
intelligent sections of the society.
yeah, and even those that have done a good job, I think, are ultimately tired of everything, including the other people. They're just everybody is just tired. So
Well, yeah, but coronavirus doesn't care how sick you are of wearing your mask.
I'm well aware of that. And I think to a certain extent, still with the politicians, they're just kind of picking what message they're going to send. And the virus doesn't vote.
If it did, though, like, democracy would be in major trouble. I guess it kind of does, actually. Hmm. Anyway,
On to something less depressing, I hope. Mike,
yes, less depressing.
don't be depressing.
I, I actually was traveling for work earlier this week for the first time in a while. Um, I went down to the Atlanta area for a couple days to visit some of our sites there with a group of other people, mostly for educational purposes. Because as long as I've been with the company, I've only been out to see operations just a small handful of times. And what was especially interesting about this trip is that I got to see a number of things that I had worked on in the past but had never seen in person before. Um,
nice.
so it was really cool, and uh, it was also good to meet up with some people who I talked with on the phone a zillion times for various reasons and various projects, and finally got to see in person and see a bunch of the cool stuff uh, happening in real life, and see some of the you know problems that I'd heard about in person. I was like, wow, yeah, that's need to get that checked out. uh, but they're doing what they can. Yeah, it was nice to get out. Travel still is kind of a pain. uh, I had a mask on the entire time when going through airports, being on planes, being at the hotel, except when I was in my room and out there on the sites. And things are different in various places. Like the airports and airlines are still serious about masks and everything like that. But outside at like, hotels and restaurants, and things are more optional, and people are like whatever. But it's like I didn't feel weird, or like people were giving me the side eye because I had the mask on, so that's nice. But yeah, it's just it was good to get out and get around a little bit, even though some of it was just kind of annoying. The one thing that got me was that, like, going through security, there doesn't seem to be standardized practices at all of the TSA checkpoints in various places. Because, like, when I was leaving out of Greensboro, and I was, I had to go up, show them my ID, show them my boarding pass. But then when I was putting my luggage on the thing to go through the scanner, I didn't have to, I didn't have to take anything out of the pockets of the jacket that I put in the bin. I didn't have to take my laptop out of the bag that it was in. It could just go through. But, like, when I was coming back, going through security at Atlanta, like, they only wanted to see my ID for some reason. Like, I also handed them my boarding pass because I thought you were supposed to do that every time. It was like, no, I just need your ID. It was like, okay, that's confusing. And then I had to take my laptop out of the bag that it was in when I was putting stuff through the scanner and just separate stuff more. And it's like, I don't know. I don't get it.
I kind of feel
Mhm.
I have not flown in the last 2 years since all this started, but I feel like in my personal experience, even before all this, going through different airports, I felt like a lot of TSA rules were applied and enforced differently, just depending on where you're at.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm pretty sure that, like, back when I was in college, the TSA announced that it wasn't going to be a requirement that everyone had to take their shoes off, but I've always been told to take my shoes off.
It's
Always.
just because they love your shoes.
Yeah.
Mike's feet are
I I
delicious.
I remember
I
that
mean,
when they
what?
I think I remember the announcement that you're talking about. Um, because it used to always be a thing, and then I think enough people were like, "Hey," that they were like, "Okay, you don't have to worry about that anymore." That really sounds familiar to me.
Hmm.
About whether or not it's currently what the state of it is I'm not sure, but
Yeah, it is. Like, everyone had to do it on this last trip, and I've always had to do it for every trip I've ever, taken since I've heard that announcement. Even though yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
It's almost like it's all, what's the term?
arbitrary.
Well, that too, but I was thinking it's safety theater,
Ah,
security theater, and each airport decides how it wants to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it. Just
yeah,
local practice.
yeah. Going through again different airports, like when I would visit my family or anything, it always felt like there were some that I'm like, okay, without a doubt, it's going to take twice as long to get through this security for whatever reason. And it had nothing to do with the size of the airport or the lines. It was just what they made you do as you went through. So,
Hmm.
Yeah, and the familiarity of some of the other people in line with the process.
mm. Oh yeah, like the places where they like tell you for 20 minutes, make sure you don't put your boarding pass away, make sure you have this out and that out or whatever. And then somebody gets to the front and they're like, "What do you mean?" Well, all that is in my checked luggage and da 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 da. And they're like, "Ugh."
I
Everyone has to have a first time taking a flight, but, like, really, man?
I just can't afford to fly, so I don't have any of these stories.
Hmm.
But if I did, I would hate those people too. Aren't boarding passes like digital these days anyway? Don't you just like show them your phone?
Yeah, and I should start doing that now that I have a Well, I've had a work phone capable of doing that for a while, but now that I also have a personal phone capable of doing that, yeah, I should start doing that instead of printing them.
Look at you.
I know. I'm the worst.
Well, as for me, I've been having trouble sleeping for the last week or so. That's a week or two, I guess, at this point. So that's fun. I think I'm coming out of it though. Maybe. I have a functioning Oculus Quest again.
Nice.
So I've been building up the muscle memory for that again. As I was talking to the dorks in the pre-show, I was able to do like 3 songs in Beat Saber and like 3 runs in Zombieland before both of my shoulders were like, stop! And I went, oh, all right. Guess I'll stop. I've started doing YouTube videos for some of this VR stuff. The first one was my first time playing Zombieland. Which I was like, you know what, this was nice and concise and fun. I'll throw that up there. And today I finished up the first of the Shadowgate VR videos, which I think will be 2, maybe 3, before I start playing that again. But yeah, there's going to be more VR stuff popping up on YouTube. What the hell was that? It was something outside. I thought it was like reverbing or something, like my microphone had just freaked out. But it was something outside that just happened. Okay. Anyway. I'll be okay.
Are you sure?
Maybe.
Should I come over to your house and check?
I mean, sure, I need to give you this Christmas present from ALK Alters anyway.
It's not July yet.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Let's see, what else is going on? Nothing really? I've been playing Hitman 3. Yeah. Got randomly ghosted by the only promising person I've run into on the dating site in like a while. Just out of nowhere, just stopped responding whatsoever. So that's nice.
That sounds terrible, but, okay.
Oh, that's the word, yeah.
Oh, were you confusing positive and negative?
I was doing that again, yeah. That's
Can't
how I
talk.
got shocked when I was doing that electrical work. Oh, I did do, if you watched the Zombieland video, or if you're in the Discord, you might have noticed there's an animated intro on the videos now. I got Shy Animated to do that a while back and hadn't had a place to use it really. So I was like, ooh, I'll get that all put together. And I iterated a few times and I posted it in the Discord. I was like, help! And I sent it to the dorks and literally no one responded. So that was nice.
Sorry, I kept meaning to look at that while I was at a computer and not on my phone at work. So, sorry.
Excuses.
Yeah, I know.
Luckily, literally everyone else that I sent it to offered up some opinions. But, the dorks. And then Dirk mentioned like 3 days later, they won't play on my phone. I was like, if you told me that, I'd have sent them to you some other...
We are the worst.
They really are. Like, But,
You're adorable?
I iterated enough times and got some feedback from various people and have a new intro, which now you can watch, Brian, right there. I dropped it right there in the chat. You can click on it right now. It's 10 seconds long.
In the chat? Oh, look at that.
Hey, look at
this.
that.
It's 10 seconds long.
But that's a thing I did. I think it turned out really well. I might iterate on it some more when I get more like ideas, but at the moment I like it.
I like it. I especially like the part at the beginning. What are you saying? The dum-da-dum-dum?
I was just humming and then I went jam.
Yeah, for some reason the humming really stood with me. I'm not sure why. Like in a good way. So, now I like it.
That was a combination of like Scott's idea and me running with it.
Okay.
He was like, you should say jam as you jump. And I went, and then have the music start like after the splash or something. And I went, it's too quiet at the beginning. I need something. And maybe I should be humming or something. So I just did a quick recording and threw it in there. And I was like, oh, that works. So then I recorded it proper. And yeah. But yeah. So that's fun. And Shadowgate in VR, like I said, is the next like series that'll be going up. The first one is edited and rendered and uploaded, but I haven't done any of the YouTube stuff. And it's not a point and click game like Shadowgate games. Like I got attacked by, well, I heard a loud skittering and there was a spider the size of a small dog running down the hallway at me. And so that was fun. There's lots of swearing in the Shadowgate videos is what I'm saying.
Rated C for Chewy.
Exactly. And yeah, that'll be fun. And I want to get some more VR streams going and more. I've been playing Hitman on stream because Hitman 3 finally dropped in price, so it wasn't full price for a game that's been out for a year. Excuse me. So I picked it up and it actually transferred my progress from Hitman 2, which I did not know was a thing, and that made me exceedingly happy because I didn't want to have to go back and do all that crap again. And I finally started the Hitman 3 content, I think 2 Hitman streams ago. Yeah. I love that game. It's so good. Yeah, but that's what I've been up to.
Opposite of the, it's the opposite of the Power Glove.
It's true, yeah. It's not that it's so bad. It's so good.
Thank you. Picked it up. I dropped it and you picked it up. Thank you.
I love The Wizard. I think The Wizard is a legitimately okay movie.
It's a very good commercial. I don't know what you're talking about.
It is, but it's a legitimately okay
Dragon.
movie.
Yeah.
My favorite line from that movie? He touched my breast.
And see, I know exactly which part that is.
Yes,
so.
you do. And it's great. And that society reacts the way it should, and like 5 people jump on that guy and drag him away. And that just makes me happy. But anyway, I should do the Patreon thing. So hey, patreon.com/themanapool. You know the drill. The Mythic Lifeguards are as follows. Let's do it in, I don't know, this order. That's literally the same order. This order. There we go. We've got Connor Kennedy, Violet Moon, Al, Timu Hellas Haryu, The Beast Father Aaron Goodwine, Scuzzo, PJ McMullen, Beardy Man, Pinball Witch, nope, scroll, John Parker, Jason Kaus, Casey, Jake Janssens, Mr. Dr. Lewis. Why is that hard to say? Jason Doan, Andrew Hunt, Gothic Man, Kim Ho, Cody Buckowing, and ALK Alters. Yay. Next, let's see, on Monday, I think, next week, hopefully, I'll talk to Cheyenne again, and we're going to see if I can get the Deep End logo actually done and committed to a file so I can finally have that. Because of the lack of sleep and having to deal with that, I have not been able to work on any of the Deep End like scripts yet, mainly the Zelda one. But I finally, while I was, I think it was on a day I was sleep deprived and I was like having a lucid moment. I thought up like not a hook exactly, but like a way to frame that video other than I want to talk about this now, and it made me very happy. So, yay. That's good. That's a good thing. That was progress that has not been made in the months that I've been had this rolling around in my head and been working on it. But I guess sleep deprivation was good that one time. You remember that one time sleep deprivation was good?
Nope.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't getting a lot of sleep.
That does affect your memory. It's true. But anyway, this has been. Let's go ahead and stop this now. This has been the Manpool number 644. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and go live on Kamigawa if you want.